Hey guys, I decided to make a open tag video here. Um, I was thinking a lot recently about some of the games that I played growing up and which ones were important to me and that I had the most fondness playing. Um, so I decided to grab a few out of the games that I have in my current collection and kind of talk about what they meant to me growing up and I want to see what other people grew up with and what were the games that kind of defined their gaming, I guess, their gaming flavor. I don't really know how to put it, but you know what I mean. Like, what made them enjoy games as much as they do now? Why do they collect and all that good stuff? So I'm gonna start off with the original Nintendo here, and I'm just going to do the Nintendo and the Nintendo 64. And the reason for that is because even though I did have a PS1 and I did have a Super Nintendo, I got the Super Nintendo later on in its life, and I didn't really have too many games for it. Pretty much just Mario World. I think I had NHL 94. I think maybe NHL 95. And I think Street Fighter, and that was pretty much it. I didn't really get into it that much. So I'm gonna start off with some games I had as a kid, and some of them I don't have anymore, and like they're kind of hard to find now, so it kind of sucks. But I'll start off with this game here. This is The Adventures of Bayou Billy, and I remember getting this game as a kid and thinking it was absolutely amazing. I remember the first time I turned it on, and it said in that horrible, horrible Nintendo voice, it was like The Adventures of Bayou Billy. And you couldn't understand what it was saying. Well, now you can't really, but back in the day, it was pretty damn impressive, and I remember it blowing my mind. This game was ridiculously hard, like I mean, amazingly hard. It still is. I remember the first time that I made it. I think it's the final stage where you're in New Orleans and you're actually walking down the street, and there's guys jumping out the windows and shooting at you and stuff, and all you got is a whip. It's a really, really, really difficult game, and yeah. So this game, I can't count the amount of hours I played this growing up, and it was actually really surprising that my father purchased this for us, and I don't know where he got it. I think he was in the U.S. and he picked it up on a trip down there. But I played a lot of this as a kid, so that's awesome. And actually, kind of connected to that is Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I never had this game growing up, but at the time, nobody had The Adventures of Bayou Billy, and a couple of my friends had Mike Tyson's Punch Out. So what I would do is I would trade them at school, that game there, for this one here. And even though I never owned this growing up, I absolutely loved playing it, and I knew it was something that I would never get. And I think it was after the time that Mike Tyson was in the news about kind of getting in trouble with raping women and stuff, and just being an absolute dick. So to make a long story short, I was never getting this game, but friends had it, so I remember playing it and thinking it was a fantastic game. And I remember I could never get past King Hippo. I couldn't figure out how to defeat him and where his weak points were, but I remember eventually I did, and I made it all the way to Mike Tyson, and eventually I did beat the game. But it's just one of those games that I remember having and playing and absolutely loving considerably growing up, and I'm really happy to have that in my collection. Just quickly, a game that I don't have now, and it's actually kind of rare and hard to find. I had North and South growing up, and I remember playing that. And my favorite part of that game was when you had there was a bunch of different, I don't know if you'd call it mini games, but different sections of the game. And one of the sections was that there was a two sides, and they were fighting on a field, and sometimes there's a river in the middle with bridges and that kind of stuff, and you would send tanks over and not tanks, but like you'd have cannons, and you have cavalry, and you have just general soldiers, and that game was awesome, and I wish I still kept that game, because that game now pulls a premium for price, and I'd rather just have it for nostalgia reasons than actually playing it again. But that was a really fun game. You used to be able to invade forts and stuff. It was awesome. This is another game that I didn't have, but actually a friend of my brother's had it, so we had it at our house a fair amount, and it was Bionic Commando, and I remember playing this game and thinking how amazing it was, and then how you could use your, that bionic arm to attack people, and absolutely fantastic game, and I remember my brother would say, why don't we play Mega Man or something like that? And I'd say, no, let's play Bionic Commando. It was probably my favorite game at the time when we did have it at our house, and I absolutely love it. And it took me a long time to find a copy of it around here, and I finally did. I'm really, really, really happy to have a copy of Bionic Commando. It's an absolutely awesome game. And this game here is probably the game I played the most growing up, with the exception of the original Mario. This is Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Um, I played the shit out of this game. I can't count the amount of times that I beat it. Friends would come over, we'd play, for hours and hours and hours on end. And it got to the point where we were beating the game without even using any continues, and seeing how many times we could do it without dying, and we knew where everything was. I'm not nearly as good as I was back in the day with it, but absolutely fantastic game. Loved it, and it's still one of the best games for original Nintendo. And I'd really happy to have this in my collection. Even though it's a really common game, you can pretty much get it anywhere for pretty cheap. But it was still an awesome, awesome game. And I remember it came with a coupon for, I think it was like $5 off of Pizza Hut pizza, or you get a free pizza. And then we went to Pizza Hut and used the coupon, and they're like, "We don't accept it because we're in Canada." And I'm like, "You guys are dicks. I wanted a free pizza." Anyways, but that was kind of awesome that it did come with a coupon. So those are the 4 games there for the original Nintendo. So here are the games for Nintendo 64. This is a game I can't count the amount of hours. Like I mean, to the point where we broke controllers. I remember having to go one time to a store called Zeller's. I don't think you have it in the States, but it's essentially the same thing as Target. And we had to go there to buy an extra controller because I broke one playing GoldenEye, and then we got it home, and I think we purchased a yellow N64 controller. We got home, and then we broke another controller within like 40 minutes of playing again. So we had to go out and buy another one. I think we got the green controller, and then like 3 days later, we all met up again to play some more, and we broke another controller. So we ended up buying 2 more controllers just in case another one broke. It was probably the most violent, like physically violent game that I ever played. I don't mean like in-game graphics violence. I mean like somebody kills you and then you punch them in the side of the head. like it was bad. But it got to the point where it was just a big rage fest, and we had all the tricks where you put the mines on the glass and then you shoot the glass and the mines disappear, but they're technically still there. So people would walk by and explode and get all pissed off, and it was like, stop looking at my screen and all that kind of stuff. And I paid $8 for this one here, and it's just one of those games that's awesome, and you could play it forever and ever and ever and ever and never get bored of it. I have so many fond memories playing this game, and I remember the screaming matches and controllers going flying and Nintendo's getting kicked around and people laughing and joking and teaming up on other people, and somebody was too good, then it was 3-on-1, and it was just awesome game, and I'm really I'm really happy to have it in my collection, and I'm glad it's a fairly common game because everybody owned it and everybody was good at it, and it was a real challenge to come out on top. So this one here is 1080 snowboarding, and I showed it in my video for breaking the high score. I had this growing up, and I played it a lot, and I had friends that played it a lot, and they'd come over and they'd teach me things, and I'd go over their places and teach them things, and we had a lot of fun playing this game together. And I remember hours and hours and hours of just playing this game, and it was really, really enjoyable. And I'm glad that I have this here, and I think that all those hours playing back in the day really helped me break the world record for half pipe. I just need to figure out, because I remember before getting like 80 or 90,000 or even 100,000 points in the half pipe. I need to figure out how the hell I did that before. And I remember getting like there's another one called Air Make, and it's just like a big jump you go off. I remember breaking like 40,000 points off one trick off that. So I got to figure out how the hell I did that before. So anyways, but yeah, there's that one. And finally, Wave Race. This is the only game that my mother would actually play, and as odd as that is, she just absolutely loves this game. And I'm sure if I plugged it in today and played it, she would probably still come over and play. But fantastic game. I remember reading Nintendo Power and actually having a considerably higher score than anyone else in Dolphin Park, Drake Lake. I'm trying to remember the Arctic, I think it's Arctic Cove, a couple other ones. I had the highest score for stunt points in every single map out there, and I took screenshots of everything and I submitted it to Nintendo Power, and for whatever reason they only put me on the top for Dolphin Park, but I held that world record, and I don't remember what it was. It was just years and years and years and years ago. Like I was maybe like 12, so like 16 years ago maybe. I don't know. Whenever this came out, because this came out as one of the launch titles for the N64, and I got my N64 on launch day because it happened to be my birthday that year. So I got this and Mario, and I just played the crap out of this game because there were only 2 launch titles, and I think like a month later, what's it called? Killer Instinct Gold came out. and people were selling it for like 130, 140 bucks. Like, it was ridiculous, even though retail was only like 60 bucks on the game. But they knew that no other game was going to come out for like another month. They had a really, really shit release title for titles, not shit release titles, but really small amount of release titles for the N64 until like 4 or 5 months into it. So anyways, it was this game here, Shadows of the Empire Star Wars one, and Mario that came out. And for a long time there wasn't much after that, except for Killer Instinct. So anyways, but I remember submitting that and actually having that record, and that was the reason why I decided to try and break records. But I can't figure out how I did it. I remember I was doing double barrel rolls, and I can't figure out how I used to do that. And I used to be able to do double backflips. I can still do those, but like a lot of things like getting the dolphin, and it's kind of hard to explain. But anyways, I was really good at it. I'm not nearly as good as I am now, so I got to remember how I used to do all those crazy stunts and finish. Because I remember being able to finish the whole race standing on my head, and still come in first place while just standing on my head the whole time and just racing around without crashing and going off jumps and whatever. So anyways, that's it for the games growing up. I can get into stuff like I had a TurboGrafx 16 for a short period of time. I could talk about Bonks and playing that. Splatterhouse, I had that game too, which I don't have now. But these were the systems that I played the absolute most growing up, and these were the most influential games that I currently have in my collection. I did play Mario 3, which is an awesome game. Mario 1, which I also had as well. I had North and South, which I already talked about. But I didn't have too many games growing up. All my friends had, Bases Loaded 1, 2, 3, 4, and I had Ice Hockey. I had Dr. Mario. I had some other stuff. But these ones here were the ones that I would actually sit down and play for hours. I also had Madden 64 and a couple other games. But anyways, just thanks guys for watching. And I want to know what you guys have. So this is an open tag to anybody who wants to talk about some of the games that were important to them growing up. And because I really want to know if anybody has some games that I used to play, or I can relate to stuff that they were interested in. So anyways, guys, make a response to this video, or just make your own video. I don't care. I just want to see. All right, so thanks for watching. Have a good one.